in a minute and a half.
I actually wouldn't necessarily do anything differently except I'd spend less money on all of it, because a lot of the money that was spent on the early days of Keiko's project it was unnecessary expenditure. It was for luxuries that Keiko certainly didn't care about. It was for the people who were working on the project who wanted the helicopters and the big boats and all of that. I think that, Keiko lived for 5 years in Icelandic and Norwegian waters. That's probably 5 years that he wouldn't necessarily have had if he'd stayed in Mexico. He might have lived that long in Oregon, but we gave him 5 years in a natural habitat, and so I think we can do that with other whales who were wild caught. Keiko never really reintegrated with other whales, although he interacted with them now and again. He never really learned how to catch his own fish, although clearly he was feeding himself when he went from Iceland to Norway. He was sort of semi-independent, is how I've always put it, and I think that there are other whales who might be able to reach that stage. Can we afford it? I don't know. I mean, even cutting back the cost is still not a cheap endeavor to keep a killer whale alive. I mean, it's not inexpensive. So I think that there are some who can reach that semi-independent stage. I think there are others who would not be able to really leave the pen, and they would have to be cared for the rest of their lives in retirement, as it were, in sanctuary. And there's probably one or two who might make it back to the wild. I think Porky is a real good possibility. I think Lolita and the Miami Aquarium, these are two whales from the Pacific Northwest, and we know their families, are still alive, and I think we should try very hard to let them go free. But we have to do what the whale is capable of. These are individuals with individual personalities, and so you can't force it on them. You have to let them do what they're capable of doing and be prepared to care for them if they aren't old enough to go.